Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the Blue Honor Vlog. I'm Kay Williams, author of op-dec Operation Deceit, World War II spy thriller, Triloquia trilogy, a dark fantasy, and Blue Honor, for which this vlog is named. It's March. Oh my gosh. It's like, here we go again. Another year flying by. It's pretty incredible. How quickly time starts moving past us. So there's so much to do, it seems, and just not enough hours in the day. I would love it if I could have 5 extra hours in the day. Like, if we could have a little bit of a longer day. I mean, what would that do to our planet? Scary. So let's not change things since it's kind of working out. So keeping with the trajectory that I've been going on for a while now, I'm going to review an old blog hop from 2017 saying, what was your favorite non-writing job and why? I've been working since I was in high school. I had a job, which I have talked about on the vlog before, as a maid in the evenings. The one that would replace your towels, put out the little piece of chocolate. They called it turn down service. So you have to go in and turn down the side of the bed and put the little chocolate out. And it still is a resort for upscale visitors to Saratoga. It's very old school, and it wasn't fun. There were issues, and I talked about that in another vlog, which I can link below. More than happy, but I don't want to rehash that ordeal here. I want to talk about something that was actually a lot of fun for me. I've worked in public sector. I've worked in retail. And, other than the writing, which is my favorite thing to do, is the art and the writing. What was my favorite thing that I've done? Film. Flat out. My favorite. I like being a background person. You get to be on the set. You can help out with the set, things like that. Smaller productions, you help out with the set. You feel space in the background. The pressure isn't there. No lines to remember usually. And you just kind of sit in the background. You do your thing. You do take it seriously. You do still have to act. You have to fit the scene. And you have to portray what would really be going on in the background of such a scene. So you have to know your scene and maybe what's going to happen, because there may be something for you to react to. You've seen scenes and stuff where people like suddenly explode and it's really loud and everybody's like, so you don't want to just ignore it and keep going unless the script calls for it. So it could be one of those things where somebody's having like a panic attack and, they're imagining themselves exploding and everybody else is just carrying on as is around them, and it's very surreal and stuff. So you would have that odd juxtaposition. So the director will direct you. They will tell you what to do, how to do it, and if you're doing well and stuff with what you're doing. It is a lot of fun. It's a little more loosey-goosey than the scripted characters and stuff who have to follow, the trajectory of their character. But I love that. My brother has been an extra as well in films. You could see him in the background in Ghost Story. He's one of the boys hanging off the tow truck. And it's Ghost Story from 1981. He was a little boy. And he got to meet Fred Astaire. My dad helped build the oatmeal ghost. It was oatmeal and some other gross things. It was fun. It was a lot of fun, they said. They really liked that. My mom didn't like it so much as a stage mom. She is just a beautiful woman. And in 1981, she was like late 20s, mid 20s, 30 at the most. And she always reminds me of Carrie Fisher, sort of, and that sort of look, young Italian girl. So she was always there with my brother. And of course, some of the production crew and stuff would come on to her trying to, hook up or whatnot. You know how men are. Or they're out there, traveling around. They're on location. Nobody's watching them and stuff. And they would proposition her and stuff. And she was like, I don't need my son in this that badly. So that kind of quashed her bringing me around the industry in my youth. She was like, no, not modeling, not film, not anything. She was terrified of what that would mean. So I didn't get to do much of that stuff. I did take dance and perform dance. I was not a theater kid. I was scared to death of forgetting my lines, so I would get stage fright pretty badly. Dancing wasn't too bad because it was in a group, and you just keep an eye on the other dancers, and it would keep you cued as to what your next step. It would just keep reminding you if you panicked and started forgetting what you were supposed to do. So none of that was there, and we practiced the routine so much. It really didn't bother me to do that. It was kind of fun. I liked it. I've sung in chorus in front of people. Public speaking is not my favorite thing. It is not. As an author, that's something that I do struggle with because they like you to come and do readings, talk about your work. I've talked at Northshire Books about Triloquia and some of the characters and the weird things that are in there. And it's a little uncomfortable because the crowd is just like, that's unnerving to me. I don't know how to move them to react in a positive way so that I know we're having a good rapport here. I'm not very good at that. And that's kind of why I prefer background work. And in 2012, I went back to grad school and wrote, I had just written op-dec, and I did the adaptation, and I did all of my studies focusing on doing adaptations, film as a political tool, etc., stuff like that. So I could write the best screenplay possible adaptation of that, because World War II, political, you're not going to get away from that. And just being largely aware of how it can be used as a propaganda machine, and how it was in World War II used as a propaganda machine. A lot of that stuff you may not think, oh, that seems like very sidebar. But all those intertexts and stuff form what you will eventually see on the screen. There's a lot of intertext playing into that to make it feel like the era and give like the era. So you have to pay attention to a lot of that. You have to know your time. And as a writer, that's my responsibility. That's what I do. I take it very seriously as a historian. And at the same time, it's still fiction. So if there's something that I need to be a little looser on, for the sake of the story, I'm probably going to take it. But I will think that through heavily before I just take that, writer's prerogative, easy path out of something. There may be something that I'm missing in my research that would kind of catapult me forward in the way that I'm looking for, and I may just need to uncover that. And sometimes I trip into those things, and I can't predict where it's going to come from. You can have all of these sources, and it may be a YouTube video that suddenly comes across, or something that's mentioned in a TV show, a newscast, in a conversation, reading another fiction book. It's incredible, all the different places where something relevant just suddenly pops in on you, and you're like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. That's I need to remember that. Or it, gets that creativity going, and the idea comes, and you're like, oh, that's how I can resolve that. So I'm not lost. I don't have to make that choice. My integrity remains. Or I should say, the fiction's integrity is sustained. But getting back to it, background work is just, it's a lot of fun. And I've known a lot of background actors throughout my time of writing and graduate school, undergraduate school. I just always, pop in, and those are the people that find me, I find them. And the area that I'm in Albany County, upstate New York, has various groups that you can join. And I encourage you, if you're interested in such work, to look for groups that do this. It may not be theater, but you could probably, contact a theater group and stuff and see if they have any ideas about who and where they meet and how to join up and to get involved. And remember, these people have long been established. So don't walk in like you're going to change everything. Don't walk in like you own the place. Sit back, start to get to know people, show up more than once. Be there. Be supportive. Volunteer. Try to be helpful. Don't just insert yourself. It's really important, because the connections are probably one of the most important things that you'll have. That's how you will find work, different jobs, opportunities, etc. And you're going to make new friends, which is really important. That's super important to your health and well-being, and to make you feel like, I want to continue to do this because, now I've met these great people, and that's who I want to hang out with. So keep that in mind. Don't just bulldoze your way through the door and say, I'm here now, and this is how we're going to do this, and when do we get to that stuff? It's not like that. They come together, they'll screen their movies and stuff that they're working on. You'll meet directors and very more rarely producers, local actors, background actors, people who just want to hang out with that group, stuff like that. Friends of people who are doing these things. And it's just a fun way to get to know what's going on in your area. And hopefully it's nearby where you live and you don't have to travel. When I was going to the group, I was living in Saratoga, and I would have to keep traveling to Albany, or I would have to stay late from work because there was a point where I was working in Albany, and then drive over and then come home late, which was good because I didn't have family at the time. I was single. But if I had a second job, that's what disrupted it, and that was kind of upsetting. And interestingly enough, through that second job, I met somebody else, and that's when I got to do another project, and to work on a project and be a background person. It was for a week or two, nearby, on location at somebody's house, and you're just supposed to be like a background, and it was like a college party was the theme, and just being in different spaces in the background. And it's interesting. It's very interesting. And that friend ended up dating one of the people in the film. It's amazing how life happens, and she moved to New York City for a while, and that was all great because I would get to go visit them down there and hear about new projects and stuff, and be a supportive friend and hang out. And that was so good for my heart. I don't know if it was good for theirs, but things change and you wander away from each other. I haven't seen her in several years, and she was a good friend at the time. Just jobs took us to different spaces, and we don't see each other like on social media or anything anymore. That falls away. Like, you have certain social media accounts, but the craziness of social media really kind of drives you away. You know what I mean? So that can be a hindrance too. So if you're looking on social media for such groups and meetups, that can hinder your prospects of connection and even job finding, because people are terrible online. It can really, really cause a row. Or something that you type out because you're not actually speaking, so you're not emoting. That sarcasm doesn't show through, or maybe it does, and you've said something off color or whatnot. You've had something off color said to you, and you're not going to stand for it, and you shouldn't. You really shouldn't. I'm not advocating for that, but when you're person to person at an actual, meeting, you could look at somebody and go, well, that wasn't cool. Why would you say that to me? Let's not go there or something, and dial it down and just be like, let's not do that. Okay, that's not. And that person may be embarrassed, not realizing that what they said was harmful, hurtful, whatever. And now they know, but you have an opportunity in person to be like, it's okay, we'll do better. We will do better from here forward. And, now you know. And of course, you always meet the ones that, want a problem. So they're listening to every word you say so that they can react to it in a negative manner. That can happen in person too, but you have more of an opportunity. Like I had somebody sit there and say to me one time, geez, you're so random. And I'm like, well, actually, that's not random at all. We were talking about this, and then we went to this, and then we went to this. And those things created this thought in my head. So, and the person standing next to me in the conversation said, yeah, follow along. And we all laughed, and I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm like, it's not as random as you think, and I don't understand why people think that. Maybe they're not paying attention to the things that I'm saying, and then therefore when they do tune back in, it seems pretty random because they didn't follow the bouncing ball and sing along. But it's much easier to be chill and okay with each other like that in person, one-to-one, instead of being online, where social media can make the responses seem very cold and clipped and nasty. So it can be much harder to forge those relationships and get those opportunities to connect with others and work on projects, etc., because of that disparity in communication. So again, my favorite job, of course, is working on film. It doesn't pay, so I don't get to do that a lot. I would much rather do the writing. If they're, speaking of not getting paid, if there's something that I can do, at least I have my name on that cover and I know I created this from beginning to end and I worked really hard on it, and it's something that I have that I can be proud of. Whereas a film, especially an independent film, kind of goes out into the ether and you're never quite sure if it's going to get released, if it's going to have any play outside of a couple of competitions, screenings, etc. So you may never get a copy of it. You may never have that, so you don't get to see it, which can be difficult. So there's no reward, I guess, in a way for that. So I like the screenwriting, I like the book writing, and I like the blog writing. I like doing this. This is a lot of fun. This is kind of similar to film, right? As we're taping vlogs and thinking about the things that we want to say. As you know, I don't script these. I am just talking off the cuff, responding to the question exactly how I would probably write it up when I do the blogs. I try not to polish things too much. I try to write it, answer the question, write it, because I like that authenticity and that honesty that's in there. That highly polished product sometimes I think is, I don't know about you, like on TikTok and stuff, I'm scrolling. I'm like, that's really nice lighting, that's great and everything, but I'm like, I don't feel like there is any kind of connection that I can have with that individual. They're no longer real. It is like a movie clip. And I'm like, so I pretty much follow my followers that I have, and I love those people. They do the same thing. They make their videos. Some of them are scripted, but they do a great job maintaining that authenticity and realism, and I like that a lot. The historians and stuff, they like to make sure that everything is scripted and written out properly, etc., and well researched. That makes sense to me as someone who works in that arena, writing fiction. You want to make sure that all your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed, and the things that you're putting out there are responsible and correct, and because facts matter, unlike certain groups think. There's that snark again. So remember to subscribe. We'll be back here next month going over more of these open book blog hops, and they open up at midnight somewhere in the middle of the month, usually around the 19th and 20th, something like that, maybe as early as the 16th, but I try to keep it around 19th and 20th on a Friday. So, and you can subscribe on my blog to the Open Book Blog Hop. I've written over 500 of these, so we have plenty of material to revisit again and again on the vlog and to chat about. So I hope you will subscribe and come back. See you next time.